I didn't get the grades that I wanted.
They're not always going to be there for you.
We want to give an advice right away, but you know what? It is very important to listen.
Whether we like it or not, disappointments are a part of life. Here with me to discuss its various shapes and sizes are Chloe De La Paz, who is Gen Z, J.R. Dongalin, a millennial, and Lovely Mendoza, who is Generation X. Hello and welcome to the show. Chloe, if you could share with us, please, a time when you were met with disappointment, even though you tried so hard for success, and how did you react to that?
Yes, so I am currently a university student. I'm currently a third year student studying pharmacy and pharmaceutical science. And so, one example or experience that I can think of is me studying for my pharmacology exam, which has to do a lot with medical terminologies and a lot of with mechanisms of action. And so, I really wanted to study hard for it. I'm naturally a high achiever. Naturally an overachiever, actually. And I really wanted to get those good grades. And so I studied day and night, had my flashcards on me every single minute of every day. And when I came to do my test and I got my results back, I didn't get the grades that I wanted. They were not good on my standards. And so I felt disappointed. I felt really sad and really almost frustrated at myself. Like, why couldn't I have done better?
Now, another side to disappointment is disappointment in people. Maybe you just didn't see eye to eye with someone in your local congregation, or perhaps a friend that you were counting on couldn't be there for you at a vital time in your life. JR, have you ever experienced something like that?
I most certainly have experienced something like that. I mean, my friend groups have evolved over the course of the last couple of years. But the one biggest lesson that I've learned is that not everybody you think you are the closest to or you think is your best friend, they're not always going to be there for you, even in the times where you need them the most. And I learned that in times when there was conflict, there were times of need where I just needed support. Even when I'm trying to celebrate a personal or personal experience, a business endeavor that I've created or something like that, and they're nowhere to be found. So, I've learned that disappointment is something that is an experience to teach you and say, hey, like this might be time for me to change something around my life.
Brother Felmar, you've heard JR's experiences and you've also heard my experiences. And so we wanted to ask you, was it wrong for us to feel these kinds of disappointments? Was it wrong for us to feel these negative emotions when we encountered these kinds of situations in our lives?
No, not at all. To have that feeling of disappointment is not wrong in itself. In fact, let me read for you something we can find here in the Holy Bible. An example of someone who did have those feelings of disappointment or sadness. In the book of Job, chapter 17, verses 11 and 15, "My days have passed, my plans are shattered, and so are the desires of my heart. Where then is my hope? Who can see any hope for me?" What we read here has to do with the experience of God's servant Job, who, mind you, was counted as blameless and upright. Nevertheless, what did he experience? If we go to chapter 1 of the book of Job, it describes for us how Job's possessions were robbed, how his livelihood was struck by calamity, and how all of his children died at the same time. Adding to this everything else that happened to Job, how did he feel about it? Well, we heard how he expressed his disappointment and sadness. He said, "My plans are shattered, and so are the desires of my heart." So again, Chloe, the feeling of disappointment is not wrong per se. Living in this world, we all go through it. At times, it's due to our own limitations. Other times, it's external factors like other people or situations that are just beyond our control. Still, another form of disappointment is that through the eyes of a parent. Lovely, when your child is expressing directly to you that he or she is going through disappointment, or perhaps indirectly through the mood or body language? Do you go, I'm dealing with my own problems right now, or do you send them to the freezer to get a tub of ice cream? Have some of that, you'll feel better. How have you dealt with your child's disappointments?
That's a very good question, Brother Felmar. Yeah, because it is happening from time to time in our house, and that is normal. So, what I usually do, I want to make sure that I can pause for a sec. I need to know who is the child in front of me, what is his or her weakness or weaknesses and the strength. And from there, I could assess how would I open the conversation. And once we open that conversation, even in a little bit, well, you know what? We can also be aware, we can assess what is the degree of that disappointments. It could be low, it could be on a middle, but it could be on high disappointments level. So, for whatever or how do they feel that time, you should acknowledge it. It doesn't mean that you are agreeing, but at least they can feel that you are acknowledging what is their disappointments. And from there on, I think that's the way that I can find solution how to talk and how to give an advice to my child. But I will never step back, even if I'm busy, when I see that to my child. When they show that disappointments directly or indirectly, I should pay attention to that one. If I may ask you, Brother Felmer, for parents and youth alike, what's some advice from the Bible on handling disappointments?
Right. Well, to answer that, we'll go to the book of Jeremiah. The chapter is 8 and the verse is 4. Once again, give them this message from the Lord. When a person falls, he jumps up again. When he is on the wrong road and discovers his mistake, he goes back to the fork where he made the wrong turn. According to the Bible, we should not allow ourselves to be defeated by disappointments. Why are we sure? Because the Lord God is telling us, when a person falls, he jumps up again. And so I'd like to ask Chloe and JR, how do you jump up again after a disappointment? What do you do to dust yourself off or to reset, so to speak, so that we can keep moving forward?
First of all, I know my friends know this, but I allow myself to feel those emotions first. Even for a brief moment, for a couple of minutes, if I feel sad or if I feel angry or disappointed, I will just cry it off. Completely. Just for a couple of minutes, allow myself to just feel overwhelmed. That way I can clear my mind out. It's my way of, going back to square one. And after that, the next thing I do is always to pray. I will pray for the strength, for the motivation, for the inspiration that I need, so that I not only can keep pursuing my dreams, especially in my career, but most of all, I can use my life and my strength to keep serving our Lord God.
Yeah, I echo all of those things Chloe said. If you need to take a second, literally to drop on your bed, face down, and just start crying. I've done it before. I'm sure all of us have done it before. Do that, because you don't want to feel it later on. You don't want it to bottle up and boom, your emotions just go crazy. And one of the things that I've learned to do over time is just to pray God for that strength, because our emotions can get the best of us. And oftentimes they're so unpredictable. We never know what's going to happen in a moment when we're feeling so tight and so tense. Really important for us to call into God to ask for that strength and to allow us to find peace and to settle our mind. And then on top of those things, it's having healthy distractions. The things that I like to do are unfinished projects, hobbies of mine I like to pick up again and to do those things just to get my mind off of things. Brother Felmer, you know this, that, we are going to meet different types of disappointments in the future. And, that might be caused by other people, work, in our school environment. So, as members of the Church of Christ, when we're in these moments, what can or what should we hold on to so that we don't become so negative or get swallowed up by these natural human emotions?
Great question. Let me read for everyone what's stated here in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 29 this time, and the verse is 11. I alone know the plans I have for you, plans to bring you prosperity and not disaster, plans to bring about the future you hope for. According to the Bible, God has good plans for His faithful servants. He plans to bring us prosperity and the future we hope for. So when we find ourselves in moments of disappointment, whether due to something or someone, understand that's not the end of it. What should we hold on to? What should comfort us and keep us going? God's promise, His word, to bring us prosperity and the future we hope for. In this, I'd like to ask Sister Lovely, and this will be our last question for today. As a Christian parent, what are your tips when it comes to parenting your child's disappointments? And more importantly, how do you make sure that those experiences do not stunt their faith?
You know what? It is very, very important for us parents to listen carefully on every words that they are saying. And even it's not through words, you should be very, very observant. And sometimes we want to give an advice right away, but you know what? It is very important to listen. And while you are listening, you have to show to your child that you are calm and relaxed whatever you are hearing from them. It's because it's not good that you are panicking while they are telling you what happened or how do they feel that moment. So how can they trust you if you are not calm? So when they are saying something, ask more questions to clarify. If you don't understand your child, ask more questions and do not judge him right away. There is a possibility that we always jump into conclusion and we will say, "Oh, that's right. Oh, that's wrong." No, that moment don't say it. Just show how curious you are and how sincerely you are to help him or her. So, what I usually do, I just want to share this to you guys. When my child has some disappointments, I just want to make sure that I always change the ambience. I can ask for a date. So if I will ask my daughter, I have to think of what is very interesting place for her. I can go to a coffee shop. I can go to the shopping mall. For my son, there are some places that he might not think that I am interested in because I'm a mom. But I could surprise him to bring him to the place that he likes that he thought that I don't like. That moment right away, he will be surprised and he will give me this smile. And when we are there in that moment, that's the time that you can share some stories as well. And that story that is relevant to the situation, I always share the stories, especially when I was exactly at their age. I will not be embarrassed to accept that I have some mistakes, and I will always emphasize how did I face that mistakes that I made? How did I face that lowest point of my life? And then how did God uplift me and how did God help me?
Sister Lovely, that's awesome what you mentioned there, how you really put in that effort to connect with your children. What I wanted to ask is, how has the reaction been when it comes to your children receiving your advice, learning about your experiences? this method, if you will, that you have used, has it proven effective? What are the results that you have seen in your children?
Actually, I noticed a positive response from them. It's because they can hear from you that it is normally happening, and they can hear it that, oh yeah, my parents understood what I've said, and yeah, it's normal. So, and yeah, I should think about God, and God can help me at all times. He will never fail me. So, in that moment, we will always remind our child to be prayerful, faithful, and grateful. Those are the three keywords that we always emphasize during those talks that we have.
Well, that's all for us today here on Vantage Point. See you all next time.